Hello everyone, welcome to the Autring. United States Senator Bob Menendez started an hour-long presentation on the Senate floor last week with a poster featuring a green, white and red bomb, the colors of the Iranian flag. Over the next 60 minutes, the chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee argued tirelessly against reviving the Iran nuclear deal, warning that curbs of the pact would impose on what he called Tehran's, quote, dangerously and rapidly escalating nuclear program are not enough. At this point, we seriously have to ask, what exactly are we trying to salvage? Menendez, a key Democrat, said on February 1st. As Iran nuclear deal negotiations enter the final stretch, Menendez is not alone in voicing opposition to reviving the landmark agreement, with Republicans and hawkish Democrats in Washington, D.C. warning President Joe Biden against restoring the pact. That more vocal US rebuke of the agreement, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, is a sign that a deal is imminent, analysts say, and that Biden is pushing ahead to secure it despite potential political costs. This is a clear signal, as we also know from the other reporting that a deal is in sight. The negotiators are close to the end of the goal, said Negar Mortazavi, an Iranian-American journalist and analyst. And that's why the opposition is growing louder, because they see it as something imminent and want to stop it as they tried to do in 2015. The 8th round of indirect US-Iranian talks resumed in Vienna this week after a hiatus that saw diplomats return to their respective capitals for consultations. The 2015 multilateral agreement saw Iran scale back its nuclear weapons program in exchange for lifting of an internal and international sanctions against its economy. Former President US Donald Trump nixed the deal in 2018 and started reimposing sanctions on Iran as part of a maximum pressure campaign. In response, Iran has escalated its nuclear program well beyond the limits set by the JCPOA. Biden vowed to restore the agreement negotiated by the administration of former President Barack Obama, in which Biden served as the vice president. But multiple rounds of talks in the Austrian capital have yet to forge a path back to the deal. This time, however, the negotiations have resumed amid some positive signs. Last week, the US restored sanction waivers that would allow other countries to assist Iran with its civilian nuclear program, a step Washington said is necessary for restoring the agreement and bringing Tehran back into compliance with the deal. A US official also said last month that negotiations are entering, quote, the final stretch. Biden administration officials branding Trump's maximum pressure policy of failure have argued that the deal is crucial to containing Iran's nuclear program and ensuring through diplomacy that Tehran never develops a nuclear program. But several US lawmakers have been increasingly outspoken against revival of the deal. Critics say that agreement fails to address the major sticking points with Iran, including its ballistic missile program and support for militias hostile to Washington and its allies across the Middle East. They also argue that Iran's recent nuclear escalation proves that the JCPOA only limited without fundamentally disabling Iran's nuclear program. We do know that even for the first couple of years of the JCPOA, Iranian leaders gave absolutely no indication that they were willing to look beyond the scope of these limited terms and fought vigorously to keep their high advanced nuclear infrastructure in place, Menendez said last week. On Tuesday, 33 Republican senators sent a letter to Biden calling on his administration to put a renewed JCPOA to vote into the US Congress as a treaty. Formal treaties require 2/3 majority in the Senate to be ratified. Currently, Democrats have the thinnest of majorities in an evenly divided chamber, where Vice President Kamala Harris casts the tie-breaking vote. The Republican senators warned that any agreement not approved by Congress would, quote, likely be torn up in the early days of the next presidential administration. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell last week also cited Menendez's opposition to the JCPOA in urging more pressure on Iran, calling the country the biggest threat America and its partners face in the Middle East. Yet as opposition mounts, proponents of diplomacy with Iran are rallying support for the JCPOA. Senators Jeff McKinley and Ed Markey released a joint statement reaffirming support for the agreement on Wednesday. Thank you all so much for listening, and for further updates, please stay tuned to the Autring.